On the news, Nigeria confirms 5 more cases of the coronavirus as Lagos moves to stop religious gatherings. Death toll in Lassa fever outbreak hits 161. And South Africa becomes second worst affected on the African continent in the coronavirus pandemic. Hello and thanks for joining us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. It's been quite a tough period around the world with an exponential increase in the number of coronavirus cases. Africa's most populous country, Nigeria, is now in the eye of the storm as it records 5 new cases of the disease, bringing the total figure of confirmed cases of coronavirus to 8. This was confirmed by the Minister of Health, Osagie Ehanire, at a press conference in Abuja. The announcement is coming about 36 hours after Nigeria confirmed her 3rd case of the infection. Following the confirmation of the new cases, the federal government has put in place strict measures to ensure no new cases are imported through its borders. Adeshawa Odushoga has details in this report.
All hands are now on deck as Nigeria confirms 5 more cases of the novel coronavirus in less than 24 hours. This brings the total figure of the confirmed case to 8, since the first case was reported on February 28, 2020. At this press briefing, Health Minister Osagie Ehanire reveals that just like the first case, the new cases were imported into the country.
Of the 5 new positive cases, 3 arrived from the United States, while 2 came from the United Kingdom. We are still collating information on the travelers, but we know that 2 of the 3 from the United States are Nigerian, a mother and her child, making this 6-week-old baby the youngest COVID-19 patient we have. And the 3rd person is an American national who crossed the land border and became the first COVID-19 case who did not arrive by air. The 2 cases from the United Kingdom are Nigerians. A detailed travel history of each person is still being compiled, and contacts are currently being traced to identify persons who have recently been in touch with any one of them.
These threatening figures have triggered the federal government decisions to place a ban on 13 countries, which includes Italy, US, UK, and China.
These are all countries with over 1,000 cases domestically. All persons arriving, number 2, all persons arriving in Nigeria who might have visited these countries 15 days prior to such arrival will be subjected to supervised self-isolation and testing for 14 days.
The federal government have also been forced to review its visa on arrival policies, suspending it to travelers from the listed countries.
The federal government urges public health authorities of countries with high burden to conduct diligent departure screening of passengers and also endorses travel advisories to their nationals to postpone travels to Nigeria. And fourthly, these restrictions will come into effect from Saturday, 21st of March 2020, and it will last for the following 4 weeks, subject to review as the situation unfolds.
The outbreak of the epidemic coronavirus has taken its toll on the activities of the Nigerian government, which varies from the review of some of its economic policies, suspension of sports activities, as well as the review of the 2020 budget. The country is now at the risk of slipping into recession as recorded in 2016. Adeshawa Odushoga, TV360, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the Katsina State Ministry of Health has recorded its first suspected case of COVID-19. Kabi Mustafa, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, announced this at a press briefing on Wednesday. He explains that the suspect, who is currently in self-isolation, returned from Malaysia and developed symptoms that warranted further investigations. According to him, the patient's blood samples have already been taken and results are expected tomorrow, adding that the contact tracing will commence as soon as results are out. The Nigerian Senate has urged President Muhammadu Buhari to address the nation on the coronavirus outbreak. The lawmakers made the request after debating a matter of urgent public importance at Wednesday's plenary session. Since Nigeria reported a first case of the coronavirus on February 28th, the president is yet to address citizens. The senators believe that a presidential address would have reassured the people, reinforced government direction and multi-sectoral intervention for concerted efforts to contain the scourge.
This Senate should call on His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, to personally address this nation on this issue. Other presidents have been doing that, including the US, many countries, bigger countries than Nigeria. So I think to underscore the gravity of this matter, if Mr. President comes out personally himself and address this issue, I think Nigerians and citizens, Nigerians will take this matter more seriously.
If you look at our health facilities, it's not in the best of state. And even countries that have the best of facilities are grappling and have gone into lockdowns as it is. So this is why we must call on the Federal Ministry of Health to provide leadership. Let them bring all the public health team that they have within the country so that they can review our strategy and provide appropriate guidance to our political leadership to do the needful so that we can actually contain this.
In the entire southeast, there is no testing center. In the entire north, there is no testing center, and that is dangerous. In the south, there is one in Irua in Edo. Edo is part of south, and that is dangerous. We have to have testing centers in the minimum, one at least in each geopolitical zone, in the minimum. And of course, the isolation centers, states are doing their best, but we need to have a standard which must be set by the Federal Ministry of Health so that the states comply with those standards, specifications that are necessary. I believe that we were on the same page with the executive arm of government. While this debate was going on, someone walked on to me and said, already the federal government has banned 13 countries from entering Nigeria. And this is what we are also trying to suggest. But I think there are so many other things we have said here that we need to push out there to the executive arm of government to ensure that these things are attended to.
The Lagos state government has banned all religious congregational service involving over 50 worshippers. This was contained in a communique read by the Commissioner for Home Affairs, Anofi Elegushi, after a meeting with religious leaders in the state at the Bagudu Kautu Press Center in Lassa on Wednesday. Also present at the meeting were the Lagos chairman of Christian Association of Nigeria, Alexander Bambola, and Grand Chief Imam of Lagos State, Sheikh Suleiman Abunola, and other regional religious leaders from all over Lagos. President Muhammadu Buhari has reportedly approved the reduction in pump price of premium motor spirits, PMS, from 145 naira per litre to about 130 naira per litre. According to reports, the approval was given at the Federal Executive Council on Wednesday. Buhari gave the approval following a presentation by Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, on the need to reduce the pump price following the global fall in oil price. The outbreak of the coronavirus caused international crude oil price to slump from $60 to $30, causing fear of a possible economic crisis. Meanwhile, the Presidential Advisory Council has warned about dire economic consequences for Nigeria if the raging coronavirus infection was not contained as quickly as possible. The council, chaired by Doyin Salami, gave the warning when they met with President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House, Abuja. It said one of the immediate consequences, as shown in the crash of crude oil prices, or slower economic growth, adding that confidence in the economy would also be eroded. The council, which urged the president to consider immediate cuts in the budget, observed that ultimately Nigeria risked receding into another recession if concrete measures were not involved to stabilize its economy. It added that global oil glut, rise in unemployment, depletion of foreign reserves and trade imbalance were other consequences. And outside Nigeria, South Africa on Wednesday recorded its highest 24-hour increase in coronavirus infections, with 31 new cases, taking the country's tally up to 116, according to a government announcement. With the rise, South Africa is now the most affected country in sub-Saharan Africa and the second most impacted on the continent after Egypt, which has recorded 196 cases. The country's first coronavirus infection, confirmed on March 5th, was detected in a man who arrived from Italy. Elsewhere, Burkina Faso has announced its first death from the coronavirus, the first known fatality in sub-Saharan Africa. Burkina's national coordinator for responding to the virus revealed that the victim was a 62-year-old female who suffered from diabetes and was in intensive care. With the addition of 7 new cases, the number of patients in Burkina Faso stands at 27, comprising 15 women and 12 men. The World Bank has announced the approval of an additional $14 billion packages to assist companies and countries in their efforts to prevent the spread of COVID-19. In a statement released on Wednesday, the bank noted that the fast-track financing package will help strengthen national systems for public health preparedness, including disease containment, diagnosis and treatment, and also support the private sector. Similarly, the statement revealed that the IFC, a member of the World Bank Group, will increase its COVID-19 related financing availability to $8 billion as part of the $14 billion packages, up from an earlier $6 billion. It added that the package would also benefit sectors involved in responding to the pandemic, including healthcare and related industries, which face increased demand for services, medical equipment and pharmaceuticals. Premier League clubs face a £750 million fine from Sky Sports and BT Sport if the coronavirus ends the season early. Top flight clubs could enter an ugly battle with the broadcasting giant for a potential breach of their contract. According to reports, the Premier League signed deals with Sky Sports and BT Sport that commits to delivering a completed fixture program by July 31st. However, that may now be not possible with the season suspended until April 14 due to the outbreak of COVID-19. You're still watching News Now on TV360 Nigeria. We'll be right back with more.
The crash nurse recently crashed to the light from possessing the problem nothing.
That the election has been postponed and Nigerians have been reacting to the
area of Lagos as early as 7
Some minutes past the incident has been managed.
Headquarters this morning we have
Well, the coronavirus pandemic continues to increase. The death toll from Lassa fever has increased to 161. Director General of the National Center for Disease Control, Chikwe Ihikwazu, said this on Wednesday in Abuja while giving the 11 weeks update on Lassa fever outbreak in the country. In the updates, the NCDC boss said the number of suspected cases has increased significantly to 3,735 suspected cases, with a total of 906 confirmed cases. He added that 3 health workers in Bauchi and 1 in Gombe were among the dead. Ikwazu said the increase was as a result of reported new cases in 12 states, which include Ondo, Edo, Ebonyi, Bauchi, Taraba, Plateau, Kogi, Delta, Enugu, FCT, Nasarawa, and Gombe states. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Sadia Farouk, has commiserated with the Lagos State government and victims of Sunday's gas explosion at the Aboleado area of the state. Umar, who visited the scene of the incident on Wednesday, pledged to support the victims with relief materials and also help the state government with its investigations into the cause of the explosion.
We are joining hands with the state government to support the victims of this incident, those that are in the hospital, and even those that are now displaced as a result of this explosion. We're going to work in the capacity of investigating the root cause of this incident. We're also going to work in the area of setting up a strategic framework so that we will address these issues once and for all. And we're also going to work in the area of rebuilding these structures that have been destroyed.
What is important the most for us now are the human beings. We want to be sure that we can account for everybody. So properties, of course, they are doing enumeration, but property is property, can be rebuilt. But human life cannot be replaced. You can see the NNPC, they've opened the pipe up, we've seen what happens, and then they are trying to fix it. So it's still a very volatile environment. So people should not be wandering around. That's why they've said that all these equipment should even stop working until that pipe is secure, is free, and is safe.
The Nigerian Air Force has killed several armed bandits and destroyed some of their logistic supplies during airstrikes on Walawa, Yadi and Kuduru Hills in Kaduna State. Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ibikunle Darmola, said this in a statement issued on Wednesday. Darmola explains that the operation was carried out after credible intelligence reports and days of intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance missions revealed that the bandits had continued to operate from the locations with impunity. The statement added that at least 5 commanders of Ansaru and a dozen armed bandits were neutralized in the operation. Health workers in the Federal Capital Territory may soon be calling off the industrial action they embarked on Thursday, March 19, 2020. This follows a successful talk between members of the House of Representatives and representatives of the striking health workers on Tuesday. Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, had pleaded with the health workers to consider the effect of the industrial action on the larger society as this crucial time of the coronavirus pandemic. At the meeting with the committee were members of the National Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, Medical and Dental Consultants Association of Nigeria, as well as doctors, nurses and midwives associations. Standing in for the Permanent Secretary, Director of Human Resources, FCT, Mohammed Bashir, led all the management staff to the meeting. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, is calling for laws and legislation promoting press freedom and journalist safety. In a report released on Tuesday, the human rights group alleged that no fewer than 109 journalists across the country were attacked between 2010 and 2015. To address this, SERAP has organized an interactive session for stakeholders in the industry. This next report has details from the conference.
Section 39, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution states that every citizen has a right to freedom of expression. But despite this law, Nigeria still ranks low in terms of press freedom. This disturbing situation is why stakeholders in the media industry are gathered for this interactive session.
The free space is being compressed by the day. As a result of government involvement through increasing spate of incarceration, intimidation, harassment, clampdown on journalists. The safety and security of journalists it does appear is no longer guaranteed in the operating environment that we found ourselves. And there is need for stakeholders to meet and review this situation with a view to finding a way out of it.
Though the federal government has severally reiterated its commitment to promote press freedom, stakeholders in the media have accused it of not walking the talk. They say proposed laws and legislations like the hate speech bill is one way press freedom is being threatened.
There's no such thing as hate speech. Free speech is free. Don't put a chain on it of any form. Everybody has a right to say whatever they want to say without any form of inhibition. It is politicians who are scared of what we want to say that are making those laws. So even presently, there are enough laws to deal with those who are not speaking appropriately. So who is going to define what hate speech means? Is it the politician that is making the law, or us, or the courts? There is no proper definition of what hate speech is. And those who are pushing for it are those who want to stop us from talking.
The bill will not pass and should not pass. And if it does, we'll do what we do best. We'll let the courts decide, along with advocacy, to make sure that such obnoxious laws shouldn't be in the first place.
Aside the pressure from the government and security agencies, the stakeholders also identified the need for a unified code of ethics guiding the practice of all media organizations in the country.
We need to really have a sort of code of ethics. It's very, very important, because you cannot actually have control over somebody that is not under you. So we want to bring them together to some extent, if need be, lower the bar so that we get everybody on board. Then we have rules of engagement.
In 2019, Nigeria was ranked 120th position on the Global Press Freedom Index, dropping one spot from the 119th position it placed in 2018. According to SERAP, the country will continue to rank low in the international space until immediate actions are taken to promote press freedom and rights to expression. Fidelia Aguncha, TV360, Lagos.
News Now continues after this break. You're welcome back, and here with us to talk business is Fidelia Aguncha.
Well, the House of Representatives has set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the off-grid renewable solar energy project of the federal government, codenamed Operation Light Up Rural Nigeria. The project, valued at 3.4 billion naira, was launched in January 2014. The committee is to specifically investigate the abandonment of the project by the Federal Ministry of Works since 2018, despite huge amounts of money expended on them. We'll now review activities on the stock market after this break. Don't go away. The Bulls is making its first appearance for the week at the Nigeria Stock Exchange, and I must say it's very unexpected with the confirmation of more coronavirus cases in the country. At the close of trade today, investors made over 128 billion naira as the all-share index rose by 109 points to close at 22,789 basis points. Today's uptrend is on the back of renewed interest in major telecom, banking, as well as oil and gas stocks, with activity level closing mixed. The volume traded fell to 671.5 million units, while value advanced to 10.578 billion, all in 7,247 deals. While MTN Nigeria is today's top gainer, displacing Nigeria Breweries, which held the spot yesterday after making 9 naira and 5 kobo. Guarantee Trust Bank right here sits second on the chart, while Cadbury PLC and PZ Cousins also posted gains to clinch the third and fourth spot on the gainers chart. It was, however, a bad day for some equities like Nestle right here, which is falling by more than 50 naira. Okomo Oil also had a bad day. Dangote Cement is still having a bad day, just like it did yesterday, but this time it's not topping the losers chart. Well, let's now move to the foreign scene and see how the market fared. So the market is falling. Yesterday it was rising, but today it's a red market for the FTSE, Dow and Nikkei. And that's it from the world of business. It's back to Annetta Felix.
Thanks for the updates, Fidelia. Moving on now, Sudanese Prosecutor's Office has ordered the arrest of Ali Kati, a former foreign minister, over his role in the 1989 coup that brought Omar al-Bashir to power. The human rights activists have long accused Kati of being implicated in crimes committed by the state as far back as the 1990s, when he was in charge of a government militia responsible for widespread abuses in southern Sudan. Kati has frequently denied any abuses were carried out by the Sudanese state when Bashir was in power. The former president, who was ousted last year, is wanted by the International Criminal Court, ICC, for genocide and is also on trial in Sudan over the killing of protesters and the 1989 military coup. Samson Siasia has pleaded with the Court of Arbitration for Sports to grant him temporary work permit to resume his coaching business pending when his appeal against FIFA's life ban would be heard. This follows the indefinite suspension of the matter by CAS in the aftermath of the coronavirus epidemic that is spreading across the globe. Siasia was last year handed a life ban from football-related activities following allegation of involvement in match fixing. He was also handed a fine of 50,000 Swiss francs or 18.2 million naira by FIFA, but Siasia has denied any wrongdoing. And that's it on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Annetta Felix. Thanks for watching.